The night it happened, the rain beat against the windows like a warning that no one heard. I walked into the office after hours and saw Grayson standing there, his back to me, staring at the city as if it were daring him to feel something he should not. Finn, I heard him say my name before I could breathe. It startled me how easily he could shake me. It was just my name, but it felt like something he was whispering into a place inside me that I had spent my whole life barricading. I told myself to turn, to walk away, to pretend I never came back for the laptop I said I needed. But I stayed. I always stayed. Grayson faced me slowly, his eyes softer than anything he ever let anyone else see. He was the kind of boss who spoke with precision, every word chosen like a blade. But tonight his shoulders were lowered, his voice quiet. "You shouldn't be here this late," he murmured. "Neither should you," I replied. His lips lifted in a tired half-smile. "You never let me win a conversation, do you?" I didn't answer. I was too busy noticing how the lamplight pooled against him, turning his crisp suit into something softer, impossibly intimate. Nothing about this moment felt professional, and yet everything between us had started inside these walls. Grayson moved closer. The room tightened around us. "Finn," he began. Then he hesitated. The way he said my name this time was different. It carried weight, a tremor, like he was afraid of what would follow. I waited. He never touched me, not then, but standing inches from him felt more dangerous than anyone else ever putting their hands on me. "I need to ask you something," he said, "and I need you to be honest." His eyes were painfully direct. "Does any of this feel like too much?" The question pierced me. Because he already knew the truth. And we both knew that truth wouldn't save either of us. I swallowed. My pulse stumbled. "I don't know what you mean," I lied. He exhaled, frustrated, almost defeated. He turned away, his voice low. "Finn, you do." The silence felt like it could swallow the whole city. I stared at him, at the way his hands curled into fists against his sides, as if he were trying to hold himself still. "I never meant for this to happen," he said. "Neither did I," came out before I could stop it. He turned back to me, and in the brief second our eyes met, something familiar flickered, something we had both been holding down for months. I remembered the first time I saw him, Grayson Hale, youngest CEO in the company's history. Sharp, confident, brilliant in a way that scared people. He walked through the office with polished calm while the rest of us scrambled to keep up. I was just a new hire then, a nobody trying to prove he belonged. But the first time our eyes met across the boardroom, my chest tightened. I thought it meant nothing. I wanted it to mean nothing. But he remembered my name after only hearing it once. He remembered what college I had gone to, the projects I mentioned wanting to work on, the coffee I preferred when my mornings were bad. Sometimes he lingered when he didn't need to linger. Sometimes his voice dropped without a reason. Sometimes my breath caught for no reason at all. By the time I realized it wasn't just admiration, it was already too late. Tonight, in the dark office, I knew nothing would be the same after this conversation. I felt it like a shift under my feet. "Finn," he said again. His voice was steady, but something raw flickered beneath it. "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to put you in a position where you feel like you don't have a choice." He looked down at his hands, like he was afraid of them. "I can't just pretend I don't feel something." Hearing him say it out loud should have relieved me. Didn't. It made everything terrifyingly real. My throat tightened. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because I see the way you look at me," he said quietly. "Because you feel it too." Every defense I had built trembled. I could have denied it. I could have laughed it away. I could have walked out. Instead, I whispered, "What if we were wrong?" He stepped closer, close enough that I could see the flecks of uncertainty in his eyes. Then we were wrong together. I hated that my heart leapt. I hated that my body leaned toward him before my mind could stop it. I hated that he knew me so well. Grayson reached for the desk beside me, not touching me, but close enough that I felt the warmth of him. I watched how his chest rose slowly, how his breath softened, how his gaze wavered toward my mouth before returning to my eyes. He was fighting it. So was I. But we were losing. He whispered, "I want you to tell me to stop." Couldn't. Even though I knew I should. Somewhere deep inside, a voice told me that whatever happened now would change everything about my life, my job, my future, him. I thought I had more time to think. I didn't. Because suddenly, the rest of the building went dark. The power cut, swallowing us in shadow. The sudden silence felt like a dare. I heard his breath catch. Felt his presence in the dark. "Finn," he said softly. His voice guided me like hands. And I followed. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was both of us. Maybe we were always moving toward each other. His fingers grazed my wrist, a hesitant touch, but it struck me harder than a kiss. It felt like I had been waiting my whole life for something that terrified me. "I should go," I whispered, but I didn't move. He exhaled, slow, pained. "I know." His thumb brushed my skin lightly, a question he was afraid to ask. "Do you want to?" The air between us thickened. I felt the truth rise up, scorching, undeniable. "No," I breathed. "Not yet." When the lights flickered back to life, we jumped apart like strangers. But we weren't strangers. Not anymore. He cleared his throat, straightened his tie, tried to put the armor back on. I did the same, pretending the world hadn't just shifted. "I should get home," I said. He nodded, but his eyes lingered. "Be safe." I walked out before I lost my nerve, feeling his gaze burn into my back. In the elevator, I tried to breathe. But all I could think about was how close I had come to something that could ruin us both. I told myself I could forget. Move on. Pretend nothing happened. But the moment I stepped into my apartment, my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. But I knew who it was. I shouldn't have said anything, it read. "But I'm not sorry." My fingers shook over the screen. "Me neither," I typed. Then erased it. Instead, I sent nothing. But I didn't sleep. The next morning, the office looked the same. But nothing inside me was. Grayson walked in, polished, calm, unreadable. He didn't look at me. Not once. But when the rest of the team went to lunch, he called my name. Not as my boss. As the man who had stood too close in the dark. "Finn," he said. "We need to talk." My heart thudded. "About last night." I nodded. We stepped inside his office. The door shut quietly. He kept his distance this time. "What happened should never have happened," he said. I felt something inside me drop. He took a breath. "I am responsible for this. For crossing a line. I won't do that again." His words felt like a blade. I nodded because I didn't know what else to do. But then he added, I meant every word. My chest tightened. I don't know how to want you less, he admitted. But I will try. I opened my mouth to speak, but someone knocked on the door. The moment shattered. For the next week, he avoided me. He pretended nothing happened. He was careful, distant, polite. And somehow that hurt more. One night, I found myself standing outside his office again. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed answers. But before I could knock, I heard him inside. His voice was low. Frustrated. I don't know what to do anymore, he said. I froze. Another voice responded through the speakerphone. So you push him away. I didn't recognize the voice. He deserves better than this, Grayson said. Better than me. My breath caught. You're punishing yourself for feeling something human, the voice said. Grayson whispered, I can't ask him to share the consequences. My hand slipped from the door. I left before he could see me. But I couldn't unhear it. He wasn't avoiding me because he didn't care. He was avoiding me because he did. The next day at work, he was quiet again. Professional. Untouchable. Until he wasn't. Client meeting ran late. Everyone left. Except us. We were alone again. Always alone somehow. I was gathering my things when his phone rang. He listened, his face draining. He ended the call abruptly. He looked at me, panic in his eyes. Finn, I need your help. I nodded before I even knew what he needed. He grabbed his coat and motioned for me to follow, urgency sharpening his movements. It's my sister, he said. The words came out tight, uneven. She just called. She's at the old loft. She sounded scared. I rushed beside him toward the elevator. Is she hurt? I don't know. He tried to steady his voice, but fear trembled through it. She wouldn't explain, just told me to come, and then she hung up. We reached the street. He unlocked his car with shaking hands. I had never seen him like this. Terrified me in a way I couldn't name. He drove fast through the city, his jaw clenched, eyes locked on the road. The sky was still heavy from last night's rain, the air cold enough to sting. What's at the loft? I asked. He swallowed. It's where she was living before rehab. Drugs? I asked quietly. He nodded. I thought she was stable. I thought. His voice broke. I wanted to reach for him. I didn't. When we arrived, the street was nearly empty. Old brick buildings towered over us, windows broken, fire escapes rusted. It didn't feel safe. Grayson got out first. I followed closely. We climbed the stairs to the third floor. He knocked. A faint voice answered. Gray. He pushed the door open. Inside, the loft was dim, cluttered with clothes, bottles, a torn mattress. The smell was sharp, like stale smoke and something sour. A girl sat in the corner, knees pulled to her chest. She was thin, with tangled hair and hollow eyes. But even in that dim light, I could see she shared his features. Sophie, he whispered. She looked up slowly. Gray. He rushed to her side, crouching, his hands hovering like he was afraid to touch her. What happened? She shook her head, eyes glassy. I messed up. I didn't know who else to call. It's okay, he said. We're here now. Her gaze drifted to me. Who? Finn, I said gently. A friend. She gave a broken laugh. Right, a friend. Grayson's jaw tightened. Sophie. She looked away. I didn't mean to go back. Her breath hitched. I got scared. Grayson touched her shoulder. We need to get you somewhere safe. No, she whispered. You don't understand. Her eyes went wide suddenly, panic flooding her face. I followed her gaze. A man stood in the doorway behind us. Tall. Rugged. Eyes sharp. He leaned against the frame casually, but something about him made my skin crawl. Going somewhere? He asked. Grayson stepped in front of Sophie instinctively. Who are you? The man smirked. Someone she owes. My stomach tightened. Sophie shrank behind Grayson. Not anymore, Grayson said quietly. The man's smile disappeared. That's not how this works. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Grayson stayed still, his voice calm but firm. How much? The man tilted his head. Enough. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket and tossed it onto the floor between us. It was a bill. A large one. Plus interest, he added. Sophie whispered, Gray, don't. Grayson didn't look back. I said, how much? The man chuckled. You think you can just buy your way out of this? What's she to you? My heart pounded. She's my sister, Grayson said. The man raised a brow. Family ties, touching. He stepped closer. But she wasn't calling family when she came to me, was she? Grayson didn't flinch. How much to end this? The man studied him. Then he named a number. It was sickening. More than most people saw in a year. Grayson barely hesitated. Fine. The man laughed. You have it. Grayson stayed silent. Thought so, the man smirked. You're just like the rest of them. Think you can make promises you can't keep. Enough, I said. My voice surprised even me. The man turned toward me slowly. And who are you? Someone who's not afraid of you, I said. He stared. Then smiled. Bold. He looked back at Grayson. You got 1 week. If I don't have my money by then, his eyes flicked toward Sophie. It's not her I'll be looking for. Something cold sliced through me. Through Grayson too. He stepped forward. You come near her again and his voice cracked with fury. I'll make sure you regret it. The man didn't blink. Careful. He leaned in. Would hate to see a CEO lose more than a paycheck. He walked out, slamming the door. The room felt smaller afterward. Colder. Sophie shook, pressing her hands to her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Grayson crouched and pulled her into his arms. It's okay. We'll fix this. Promise. He looked up at me over her shoulder. His eyes were glassy, terrified. Lost. I nodded once. Whatever you need. We helped Sophie stand. Her legs were weak, but we supported her on both sides. As we walked out of the building, I could feel Grayson's arm brushing mine. Just that small, accidental contact lit something inside me. Something I tried to ignore. Something that didn't care what it might cost. The car ride back was quiet. Sophie fell asleep in the back seat, her breathing uneven. When we reached Grayson's apartment, we helped her into the guest room. He covered her with a blanket, smoothing her hair from her face. He stayed there for a moment, just looking at her, his chest rising and falling too fast. I had never seen so much love in someone who pretended to feel nothing. When we stepped out, he closed the door softly. We stood in the hallway. Silent. Then he broke. His hands trembled as he pressed them to his face. I thought she was okay, he whispered. I thought she was getting better. I stepped closer. Grayson, he shook his head. I should have done more. I should have been there. You can't blame yourself, I said. You didn't make her choose this. He dropped his hands, eyes wet but defiant. She's my responsibility. No, I said gently. She's your sister. That's different. He stared at me. Something in his gaze softened. You always know what to say, he whispered. I don't, I said. But I'm here. He exhaled, unsteady. I don't deserve that. Maybe not, I said. But you still get it. Something fragile flickered in his eyes. A gratitude he didn't know how to voice. He leaned his back against the wall, sliding down until he sat on the floor. I sat beside him. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, he whispered, "You can't lose her. You won't." He looked at me like he wanted to believe me. I don't know how to fix this, he admitted. Then we do it together, I said. He swallowed. Why? Because I care about you, I said before I could stop myself. His breath stilled. The world went quiet. He looked at me, truly looked, his eyes searching mine like he was afraid of what he'd find. Finn. My name in his voice felt like a confession. I held his gaze. I'm not going anywhere. He closed his eyes like those words hurt. When he opened them again, they were shining. What if I fall, he whispered. Then he'll be there to catch you. His breath shook. You make this too easy. It's not easy, I said. It's impossible. And I'm still here. A slow, pained smile tugged at his mouth. He leaned his head against the wall, turning slightly toward me. I mirrored him. Our shoulders brushed. A soft, unspoken connection humming beneath the surface. He whispered, "Thank you." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. We sat there for a long time. Just breathing. Just existing. Together. And for the first time since that night in the office, I didn't feel afraid. Not of him. Not of what we were. Only of what waited outside that quiet hallway. Because the world would not be kind to this. To us. But sitting beside him, feeling the warmth of his shoulder against mine, I realized something simple, terrible, and true. I was already too far in to walk away. And maybe, just maybe, so was he. If you want the next 1,000 words, just tell me. Sometime after midnight, I woke on the couch to the sound of muffled crying. At first, I thought it was Sophie. But then I realized the sound came from the balcony. I stood slowly, careful not to make noise, and walked toward the glass door. Grayson sat outside, shoulders hunched, his face buried in his hands as the city glowed beneath him. He didn't hear me slide the door open. I stood behind him for a moment, the chill night air washing over us both. "Grayson," I whispered. He flinched slightly, then looked back. His eyes were red, but he wasn't embarrassed. Or maybe he was too exhausted to hide it. "Couldn't sleep," he said, his voice rough. I sat beside him. He didn't speak at first. He just breathed. Like he was learning how again. Then he whispered, "She almost died last year." The words were empty and heavy all at once. "I thought she'd get better," he continued. "She swore she would, that she just needed time. But time didn't fix anything." His voice cracked. "I kept trying to save her, every time, but there's always someone waiting to pull her back down." He stared at his hands as if he didn't recognize them. "I hate them," he breathed. "I hate what they've done to her, to us." I hesitated before speaking. "You did everything you could." He laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "If I had, she wouldn't be here again." His hands trembled. I covered one with mine. He went still. "You love her," I said softly. "That's why you're hurting. But love isn't control. You can't choose her path." He turned toward me. "You sound so sure." "I'm not," I admitted. "But I know that guilt isn't love. And you don't need to carry this alone." His jaw tightened. "That's the part one don't know how to stop." The city lights flickered across his face, casting shadows under his tired eyes. "When our parents died," he said, voice barely above the wind, "I promised I'd protect her. I promised I'd keep us together. And you did. Not enough. You're here. She's alive. And she called you." He inhaled shakily. "That counts for something," I said. "It means she still believes in you, even if she can't believe in herself." He shut his eyes. "I don't know how you do that." "Do what?" "Say things that make the world feel not so impossible." "Maybe because I've lived through impossible things too." He looked at me slowly. His eyes softened, gentler than I'd ever seen them. "Tell me," he whispered. The wind chilled my skin, but his voice pulled warmth into me. "I came out when I was 16, I said. "My parents didn't handle it well." He listened quietly. "Still, I begged them to see me. Just